25 fantastic IndyCar races here at this world-renowned venue give us highlights like that. Wasn't it terrific to hear the voices of our old pals Bob Varsha and Paul Page calling some of the most magnificent moments in IndyCar history here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. As we roll, we say good morning from the west coast of the United States, wherever you're watching us here on our coverage on NBC Sports, Peacock. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell and Kevin Lee with you to get things going on the finale weekend. 27 cars fired up and they roll off on this now lovely Saturday morning. We did have a surprise morning thunderstorm roll through across the area here on the Monterey Peninsula here in this spectacular part of the world. Kevin Lee, good morning to you, and it's been fascinating to chat with some of the veterans so far, and when a track resurfacing, repaving gets the veterans' attention, you know it's special.
And the general consensus is it is fast and it takes full commitment. Colton Herta was the fastest yesterday, and he didn't even get a lap on the alternates. You know the 26 car is good, but he told me yesterday if you're 3 or 4 inches off, you are in trouble. One of the other storylines, too, is just the general consensus has been there's just not grip on the new pavement offline, and that's causing a problem. Mike Hull, the strategist and managing director for Chip Ganassi Racing for Scott Dixon's car, said he thinks the white line is really an issue, too. And if you touch that white line, you are gone. It'll rubber up more as the weekend goes along, but for now, it is very, very challenging. By the way, just also mention, too, how great is it to be back here? I love coming to this place every year. It's one of our favorite weekends. What a way to finish off the season.
And although the 2024 schedule has not been released by IndyCar, we believe that that's coming in the next couple of weeks. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca will be on the schedule. It won't be the finale. The finale's in Nashville, Tennessee at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix next year. But we think that this race, Townsend, will be somewhere in mid to late June next year.
Yeah, and I think there's some pretty exciting curveball news coming too on the schedule that will mix things up for sure and create even more opportunity for drama and potentially high rewards. So we'll watch and listen for more confirmation there. But this guy, Scott Dixon, doing just what his teammate Alex Palou did last year, jumping to the top of the charts early here.
Here is the final drive in the DHL Honda for Romain Grosjean. Let's talk more about the Frenchman. Kev?
Well, he is also someone that is in a repaired car today after an off that ended his session early on. So they're still getting up to speed and trying to catch up a little bit. Let's listen to some communication from just a few moments ago with the 2018.
Car pressure still down about 3 psi low.
Okay, I think brakes as well. Yeah, the car doesn't slow down, so it's either it doesn't brake, either the rear is completely locked, there's no in between.
What I could understand from that, it sounds like the car won't slow down. Is that what you guys heard?
Well, so the first part of the information was the timing stand letting Grosjean know that the tire pressures were still 3 psi down. So if you notice there on the onboard, Grosjean was being very conservative not to use too much apex curbing, knowing that his ride height is going to be lower with the lower tire pressures. But then the feedback from Grosjean, I think, had to do with braking, that the rears were locking without notice.
The brakes, we can pit this lap, we can put you on another set.
And maybe that's another set of brake pads, or maybe that's another set of tires. Oh,
look out.
VK.
VK sideways, exit of turn 5. Precarious position and gets away with it.
Not quite. Oh, I was going to say, I thought he got away with it and stalled it, but it was still running.
VK picked up where he left off last weekend in Portland, really finishing with some momentum. Had his best result of the season last weekend, and then yesterday here again in the top 10 in the BitNile.com Chevy. Let's show you what happened to the young Dutch driver.
Turn 5 is a really unique corner here at Laguna Seca. This is exit of turn 4. Now you're going to be hard on the brakes, and you roll in with big entry speed, crack the throttle early. But if you're offline there, like VK just missed the apex by 3 or 4 feet, and super slippery running the high side, the outside groove just hasn't been run at all. There's no rubber out there.
Let's show you what happened to the Hitachi Chevy of Joseph Newgarden, also adding to the list of off-track excursions. This is out of turn 10, headed towards pit entry, And his teammate Will Power did that yesterday, but even more dramatically, he went all 4 wheels off and had to wrestle his car back onto the racing surface.
Danger there is, well, there's more danger. It looks like Pato O'Ward maybe. Is that turn 3 at the exit? Yes, it is.
Bad damage, you think?
Front left corner.
Copy, understood.
So the excitement about racing on this repaved WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca has been countered with some of the pitfalls they're being lured into. This is what happened to Pato O'Ward. Oof.
See how the left sides were out on the red, white candy stripe curb. I think one of the things that the drivers are going to have to adjust to is that, and James pointed this out yesterday, the curbing's the same. The track's been repaved, but you know the curbing is concrete with paint. The track is this brand new, and I liken it to like brand new Velcro. But just off that Velcro is just good old-fashioned concrete with paint on it, and it's not particularly grippy. And what Pato O'Ward was doing is probably trying to drive like he used to on the old surface, where the difference between the pavement and the curbing was a much closer delta. Now you've got this super high grip black asphalt and the old low grip painted curb, and you just can't drop a wheel off like that in full send mode trying to maximize your entry speed into turn 3. Luckily the gravel did a good job to slow him down a reasonable amount, but he went in with such force and commitment that it carried all the way to the tire wall. As you see the old, it's fresh paint, but that's a turn 6 curb. You can see all the old broken up concrete from 30, 40 years of hard racing here at Laguna.
And look at the frustration of O'Ward. He really wants to finish the season with a victory. He's had a slew of podiums this year, 7 or 8 podiums this year, but he really wants to finish strong. This guy who just sets the bar so high for himself. So driven, so determined, and that will not please him. He's Mr. Excitement for the series. So he's going to have to go back. There's some wasted time there and reset and get ready for qualifying later today. And as we take a ride, let's have a listen to Scott McLaughlin in the XPEL Chevy. Turn 6.
Boom. Big old compression at the apex of 6, and like Scotty Mack got out of it there, probably getting some coaching from his spotter on finding a gap. Graham Rahal, the next car up the road, so he'll woe it up and get ready to send it here to the timing line, which is just out of turn 9, right there.
If you're new to Laguna Seca, this is actually turn 1 right here, then downhill into the Andretti hairpin, which is turn 2. Seems like it's never ending. Then you accelerate to turn 3. This is where Pato O'Ward went off. And the short chute to turn 4. Back on the gas to turn 5. And this is where the climb begins.
The climb begins out of 5, early to power. Almost like an oval turn at the exit with the banking there. In turn 6, I think this is the hardest corner on the track.
Up the hill, the Ray Hall straight, ready for the world-famous corkscrew.
Right here, you're going to crank it into that yellow curb, open your eyes up, and then slam on the brakes as it's a parking lot under the WeatherTech bridge.
Rainy curve, turn 9. Weave through the traffic. McLaughlin right now saying, come on. I was having a great lap.
Yeah, this could be what the rest of this 30-minute session looks like for a lot of these drivers. I mean, you have to get pretty lucky on track position to not catch the accordion stack up as everybody's trying to find a clean lap.
So Pato off and out of the medical center here, or the care center. You're okay. That's good to see. Do you know what happened?
Yeah, I haven't seen the replay, but I think I touched one of the white lines on the outside curb, maybe on the curb. Yeah, I was on the curb. Those curbs were like ice. So it's just driver mistake, and it's just a passenger as soon as I got to the gravel, so I couldn't really stop the car. But it doesn't seem too banged up, just the front left. So we should be fighting for qualifying. I was happy with my car, but just a messy start to the session. Everybody's slowing up. We hadn't had a lap. I had one more before I pitted, and I think I was just a bit over the window of the tire. So I think it was just too much attack for the grip that was available then, you know.
Thank you, Pato. Still plenty of time to repair that car, too. A little more than 3 hours before qualifying, and they'll have it ready.
Highest placed Arrow McLaren driver in this championship. Pato sits fourth in points with one race to go. What's happened here to the iPack at Honda? Is Graham Rahal just finding space?
See quite a bit of dust on the left side Firestones. He's probably gone off at the exit of turn 10. Way off. And this is dicey because going off at that speed, Graham is now trying to figure out, can I make it back over to the racetrack before the pit wall attenuator? And he's going to go across pit lane entrance. There's nothing wrong with running it through pit lane. Locks the right front. I think at this point, I'd advise next time you just run through pit lane. You've already passed the timing line for the lap. But Graham back on track, car cleaned up, tires cleaned up. He'll regroup and fire off one more time here.
Christian Lundgaard in the high V Honda. Christian is well placed. He had a wild ride yesterday, and Will Power is off for the second time in 2 days. Top of the hill at the Corkscrew, red flag.
And you can see he tried to dump the clutch, but he is beached. And he came awfully close to the wall.
Expect that.
And he said, that surprised me. I didn't expect that. Well, let's see what happened to the two-time series champion.
Lost the back end pretty early in the brake zone, it looks like. Only seen the second half there.
And we could talk for a week trying to articulate and describe to you folks at home what that is like up the top there. You are looking down like a mine shaft, like an elevator shaft. It is incredible right where Will is, looking to the left, and he's fully locked up, and as a passenger sliding off, he's able to arrest that speed with thanks to the gravel trap.
And it looked like the back end stepped out left and then right, like there was a little bit of a slapper in the brake zone. And it's important to remember that in that brake zone for the Corkscrew, you are cresting the hill. So the car is unweighted for a moment as you're trying to get to the brake pedal, and it can cause a number of issues, as that's the least amount of force on the Firestones around a lap here, is as the car's cresting that brake zone. Despite having the downforce, it's pretty unweighted on all four contact patches.
And folks, think about what Townsend's saying about with the car being unweighted, and you're at big speed heading in there, and it requires maximum commitment to into a totally blind corner where you're about to drop off the edge of a cliff. Just have a look to the left of your picture there as we're panning in, but then look up to where they are. Gradient on television is so difficult to explain and to appreciate, but that there is crazy. Like the steepness, that's like a ski slope right there.
And the only thing you have to help you is a tree that they tell you to stare at.
Yeah.
Way off past the exit. Great example of putting the team and the result on his shoulders, and in this case, taking a little bit more, Kevin, as Graham Rahal once again wide in turn 10, really struggling over on that part of the track.
Well, that team has really picked up the pace this season after going, 6 or 7 years without a pole. He had 2 in 3 races, but this weekend, it's a common refrain. I'm hearing a lot of this on the radio. Let's listen to the 15 iPacket team.
Can't get a lap, man.
Yeah, it's pretty messy out there. Sorry, pal.
It's terrible today. It is not the same.
So struggling to get a lap, but also I think saying his car is terrible, meaning not the same as what he felt he had yesterday. I'm looking at the times, Diff. It's quick time yesterday, 107.5, but there were some red runners there. In the test, I think we saw a 107.2 on blacks. So track temp is actually down a little bit. It could be that they need the track temp up to really turn on the black tires.
Here's the quick man at the moment. Alexander Rossi, the Mission Food onboards in his Arrow McLaren. Let's have a look at something that happened to the Californian just a moment ago. Top of the hill, entering the corkscrew.
Talked about that unweighted moment. There you see the result with the right front. For Will Power, it was the back end of his race car getting light and locking. For Rossi, the right front. Now you might wonder, is that shortcutting the course? No, because as long as Rossi's left side tires are still on the candy cane stripe here, he is on the racing surface, but it certainly doesn't ride very well. Very hard on the bottom of the car, but you're driving less distance, and you can get rewarded if you just nail the throttle application perfectly.
I'm going to show you something with Scotty Mack in the XPEL Chevy, and unfortunately there was an impact on his Team Penske teammate. Let's show you McLaughlin.
Might be another turn 10 moment. McLaughlin just getting wide, but stays in it. And his teammate was just behind him and went way deep on the brakes and way out of camera view at the exit of turn 11. Let's ride on board.
Is that just enough to distract Joseph to put him off?
Yeah, it could be maybe a little bit of dirt on the racing line that McLaughlin pulled back on as well, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of that in qualifying this afternoon. Let's not forget the average start position of the winner here at Laguna Seca in the history of this IndyCar event is 2.88, Kevin. That is the most or the highest average starting position of a winner of any racetrack on the IndyCar schedule. So these drivers, including Newgarden, Kev, going to be going for it, knowing that stat.
Okay, here's Kyle Kirkwood. Let's go for a little ride. Have a listen. Heading to turn 5.
It was Kirkwood up to 6, and if you watch that lap in detail, one thing I really appreciated about Kirkwood's efforts was precision. He nailed every apex. The first lap I've seen from a driver on board where he absolutely nailed and hit his marks, as we say. That was excellent precision.
Just as we got to the Kirkwood shot, before I said let's have a listen, you already gave me the perfect signal, a hand signal here in the booth.
Because he was through the first 4 corners crisply. There was no misses. Just a little bit wide in a couple of situations. I'm talking an inch or two. But now the tires peaking well. So Kirkwood, though, that was an excellent example of being online and on the marks through 11 corners here.
Give us one. Give us one. Go on.
Kirkwood as he crests over the corkscrew.
Hey, here's the Gainbridge Honda. The retro, the throwback scheme back to his dad's days of the late 1990s for Ray Hall in that shell cart. Now this is the modern era Gainbridge Honda.
That's the vibration for the front. If you think it's too bad, we'll put
that
on. No.
Good
That
catch.
was a heck of a save.
So with these tires.
Add that to Colton's library of amazing saves.
Check this out.
This kid has a knack for how much correction steering angle he needs to drive away from some of the biggest moments we've seen in an IndyCar, whether it's at Indianapolis on the road course, St. Louis on the oval.
You did a stint as a stunt driver on Dukes of Hazzard movie. How good a stunt driver would he be?
Oh, he'd be fantastic. He would hate the schedule, though. A lot of sitting around in Hollywood stunt work. Let me tell you, I might have to start calling this guy the paramedic because he's saving it.
Uh-oh. There's no saving this, unfortunately, in the Sexton Properties Chevy for Santino Ferrucci.
Hop out of there. Yep, hopping out.
Talked about this yesterday with Yuri Vips, who had a Honda engine replacement overnight. This is Santino Ferrucci in the number 14 AJ Foyt Chevy. Don't know if it's an engine issue, but certainly a lot of smoke at the back of the car. And we talked about the torsional loads at Laguna Seca with this new pavement, as he's helping the AMR safety team find the source of that smoke. And for a team that is, along with many others, trying to figure out how to finish in the top 22 in entrant points.
And explain to the folks why. Why the top 22, why that's
cash.
important. Yep, it's a lot of cash.
Close to $1 million. And the number 14 is 19th right now with 201 points. But that's just 29 points ahead of the number 30 RLL, as you see Ferrucci coming down the hill out of turn 9, and the left side smoke already developing. And then the question is, any oil on the track? I would say yes, because he ran it all the way down to 11 before he got the call from the team. Let's go see how Rinus VeeKay is doing here. P2 on the charts. Looks like he's found himself a pretty nice piece of racetrack, which is difficult to do, like we talked about. VeeKay has a good 1,000 feet, but he checks up. He's going to make that gap even better. Next car up the road, Joseph Newgarden.
Really pleased for Rinus
Your last
VeeKay
lap.
to be finishing the season the way he is. This is an amazing way to go into the off-season. If he has a strong race tomorrow, this guy can just polish up a few gnarly edges. 2024 could be the year of Rinus VeeKay's career.
Are you suggesting a smaller dose of NAR?
Yeah,
Well, he's coming off Portland. I mean, the best finish of the season there with 6th place.
That's my point.
His teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay off at the exit of turn 10.
Coming in.
What happened to Ryan? Probably similar to Will Power, Joseph Newgarden, and others.
Wicked little snap just before the apex curb. And Ryan wisely walks it off the track to avoid spinning, and wisely pitting, as he had already passed the timing line to start that lap, so no point in trying to force it around.
So there you have it, an eventful final practice before qualifying, punctuated by several red flags and off-track incidents. Here's how it ended up. Is this a true and reflective window into qualifying? Well, only time will tell.
Looking for some team trends. RLL there with Graham in 7th and Lundgaard at the top. That's pretty solid. How about Kirkwood and Herta bunched together there in the 107.8s. You've got some Penske's represented and Ganassi drivers, so it's looking pretty close. Yuri Vips continues to impress there. P12 in the 3rd Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan car.
Tom Blomqvist sneaking up on it for Meyer Shank, getting used to his new ride in IndyCar. Joseph Newgarden a little further back, we saw him have one incident.
And all the way at the back diff, Pato O'Ward only managed 6 laps before that incident in turn 3, tearing up the left front suspension, but almost certainly they'll get that car fixed and ready for Pato for qualifying.